All right, welcome to day 5 of the Empowering Visions Challenge. This week, we have gone through the vision, how important it is to have a vision, why you need to have a North Star and a direction that you're headed, and something that you're working towards so that you can gain progress, which is going to help you have momentum so that you can actually achieve big things and those goals, vision, and dreams that you're going after. So that is where we started. And we looked at the strategies, the how you're going to get there, the mindset that you're going to need, the people you're going to find to model, or the ways and systems that you're going to find, and the way to generate the energy for the momentum, right? Then we talked about habits and how those are the secret sauce in actually making this happen, how that consistency of showing up is really the piece of the puzzle that makes that vision happen, right? And yesterday we talked about collaboration and how it is so important for us to collaborate as groups, as people, and the ability to really have that accountability through others and through ourselves. So we've talked about those main pieces of the puzzle. And today we're going to go through an important piece. This is a framework. I didn't come up with this framework. This framework was designed by some research psychologists, and Gabrielle Eddington and her husband, Peter Golitzer, I think the last name is. I know Cheryl will be able to give us a link to that in a little bit. She'll get on that, but hold on one second and I'll walk down a couple pieces first. So that is a framework that is freaking been the biggest game-changing resource I have found to make it possible to achieve more and to really move towards a big vision and to overcome the obstacles that might be stopping me on the daily, right? Because we have these big visions, and yet we're living today in the present. And in order to take action today, we need some serious tools to make that happen. So that's what we're going to go through today. But before I get into the framework, I really want to just touch base on a couple things on vision again. Of course, because the Empowering Visions framework, Empowering Visions challenge, we got to touch that vision. So with vision, a book that I love is My Work and My Life, or My Life and My Work by Henry Ford. And it was just an awesome way to see how you have to think through something. You have to have some tenacity. And he walks through how he built the car and then the entire company and all of the manufacturing plants that they built and how he thought through that process. So it's just a great way to see how you develop vision over time and how important it is to tap into that vision. I just thought that he was such a great example, and Ford company is still around today, right? So that is a testament to why true vision is an important piece of the puzzle, and especially when you're trying to do something very big. So that is going back into vision. Now, the other piece I know we've talked about is a little bit on, and I want to touch base on today, is a little bit about leadership. I know I mentioned before, we are all leaders. Whether you know it or not, you are in fact leading yourself. And you're leading the people around you because you're influencing them, you're negotiating with them, you are collaborating with them. And so as a leader, we take on the idea, as I talked about in the day of strategy, of a servant leader, right? We're showing up to add value, to help better this world, the people around us, and our own lives, right? So that piece of the puzzle is really important. And it's so cool because this morning I was listening to my favorite mentor, Brendan Burchard, and he was talking about the E6, which is a leadership framework he talked about. And I just wanted to touch base on the things that he talked about and what the E6 was and how that relates back to the Empowering Visions framework that we've talked about this week. And really, the 6 E's are envision. You have to envision, which is not like there's just a vision as the destination, but you're actually creating and developing and touching back into the vision. You have to be envisioning the future, and you have to be looking at that. And then you have to, second one is to enlist. You have to bring others into the vision. And I know I talked about that the other day as well, that if they can't see it through they can't see through your lens. So you have to enroll people and share with them the vision. The third one is you have to embody. So I've talked about how it really is when you're looking at that big vision, you really are taking on that new identity, right? That identity, and you're stepping into that best version of yourself, and you're building up your worth, right? So you're really embodying, and you're really standing for something, and you're really going after and showing up in what you are talking about, right? So you really are becoming part of that vision. And the fourth part of that is to empower, right? So empowering is really about giving people the agency, the choice, the tools, the resources, the abilities to take their own, like have their own autonomy and be able to lead, learn, add value, and really make their own visions become reality, right? So empowering is the fourth piece of that. The fifth piece is to evaluate. We have to look and check into what we are doing. So that's about the recalibration that I talked about, right? Like we've got to recalibrate to where we're going, to where we are now, and how are with new information that came in, what is the best next step to get to our vision? So that is a super important piece of it. And the last piece of his framework that he talked about today was, in fact, encourage. Right. And I think that that's what the collaboration aspect comes down to. We gather together as accountability to encourage each other to keep going after that vision. So I just loved how that framework really actually like lines up with what I've been talking about this week. So I loved that piece. And I'm happy to share on the resource page of the replay, I'll share the link to that video that I had watched this morning that just happened to show up, in timing. Like that's one of my favorite things about personal development is the stuff that you need literally shows up like right when you need it. You're like, hey, thanks. That was awesome. Like, I'm so grateful for that information, right? So I will share that with you guys. All right, let's jump into WOOP. All right, what is WOOP? So this is a framework that was built by Gabrielle Eddington and her husband, and they are German psychologists, research psychologists, and they actually are working out of NYU, I think it is. And they basically are on the heels of positive psychology and all of the research that has been done on that. Basically, Gabriella was like, okay, well, if we get people to envision their future, to see the things, she wasn't 100% sure that it was actually working to help people achieve, right? So she did a whole bunch of studies about this, and she actually ended up writing a book, which is Rethinking Positive Thinking Inside the New Science of Motivation. And basically, thank you, Cheryl, for adding that to the chat as well. And basically what she found through her studies was that if somebody is envisioning and just visioning the future, that they are actually less likely to take action. I know, shocking, right? So the thing about this is, as your subconscious mind doesn't know the difference between you envisioning it and you achieving it. So as you're just thinking about what it is and what it looks like, if you're just looking at that side of it, your brain actually is going to power down. And so you're going to have less energy to take action on what you need to do in order to make that happen. So I know that's it doesn't make a lot of sense, but we can't lose the power of having that vision, right? We got to have that in our North Star. We need the number one high performance habit, which is seek clarity. We've got to know where we're going. So we have to look at that. So what she found in her studies was she went and she realized that if you take that big vision, what it really feels like, what it really looks like, and you immediately couple it with what the obstacle is, you actually are going to retrain the brain. And I'll talk about how that works in a second. But so what happens, and they call it mental contrasting. So you're going to look at that big vision, that big goal, and that big dream, and you're going to have the idea of what it is. And then you're going to immediately think, you got to tell your brain, we're not there yet. We didn't actually achieve that yet. What is it within me that is stopping me from making that happen or from being able to have that, right? So what is it within me? So that makes us come back to, it has to be within your locus of control. So while we're walking through this framework, we're going to walk through it and actually work through it in a second. So I'm just going to explain it here. But that locus of control, it has to be something that we can control. So it can't be that there's not enough time in the day. It can't be that somebody else's fault. It has to be something within you. And so things that I have found are, it is like a negative thought process going through my mind that actually stops me from taking action, right? Because remember, we're in the present now. So what is the obstacle now that is in your way between here and there? And what's going to happen by doing this is you're actually going to look at the obstacle in a completely different way. You're actually going to see that when you think of that obstacle, or when that obstacle arises, your brain is actually going to be like, wait, that is the thing? That's in the way between that and here? Like, that's the thing? Okay, it's going to absolutely reprogram the way you look at it. And it's no longer going to be this big obstacle. It's going to be like, that's the thing I have to get over in order to attain what I need, right? So it actually does a bottom up rather than top down in a psychological looking at, like, way of looking at this, right? So it's going to help you be able to take more action when you're feeling those feelings that were stopping you, or when you're realizing that things are stopping you. So the last part of this framework, so what we're going to do is we're going to do a wish. We're going to talk about what we really want. We're going to talk about the outcome. That'll be, so wishes for the WOOP framework is WOOP. Wish is what we're going to look at, what we really want. The outcome is going to be how that feels, and really looking at it from like a fantasy type of way of like the most amazing and how it makes you feel. And then we're going to immediately couple that with the O, the second O, which is obstacle. We're going to realize, what is it right now that's stopping me? And then the last part of this we're going to do is the P, which is plan. And that's Peter Golitzer's part in this framework, because Gabrielle realized that piece of it. And she realized, okay, you couple it, it actually helps people take more action. But Peter, what he does is he studies implementation intentions, and that are when-then plans. It's a very strategic plan. It can also be an if-then plan. I like to think of it in like an offensive and defensive way of doing it, and you'll see what I mean in a second. But what's going to happen is you're going to realize that when something happens, you're going to create a trigger. So remember, going back to habits real fast. Habits are cue-based, right? They're trigger-based. So they're going to happen when there's a trigger, when there's a cue. So when this trigger happens, then I will do this, and you're going to have an actual plan. And so what this is going to do is that we're going to couple this to your obstacle. So when the obstacle arises, you're going to remember your plan, and it's going to create an instant habit on a subconscious level even, right? So it's actually going to have you say, so when that happens, you're actually going to be able to go, then I do this. Now, they use this a lot in like in the military, right? When they've got like these special ops that go in and they've got these helicopters are flying in doing this stuff. They have these when-then plans already in play before the helicopter crashes. They already know what's going to happen. If helicopter crashes, then we do these things, right? So they have this all planned out. So this is what's going to happen. It's going to actually help you create an instant habit. And the power that I've seen from this is just insane. So I'm super excited to share it with you. And we're going to walk through doing this. And then I'm going to encourage you to utilize this framework anytime that you are looking at a new goal, a new vision. You've got something you want to achieve. You've got something that you feel like you're kind of blocked on. I think it's always really important. And you can use WOOP framework for multiple things in your life. You can use it for a single project. You can set a timeline on it of like, we actually meet with, there's actually a coaching session on this weekly on the Growth Day app. And it is led by Danny Southwick, who is Brendan Burchard's like top research psychologist, really helps him with all the data for the books, and he does all the surveying, and he leads this group, and he talks about how the framework works, and then we work through it. So I actually want to, I have in my notes, I want to put in the chat the that is actually the intentional week, intentional meeting this Monday. He holds it. It is at 11 a.m. Eastern. You can all join in. You actually don't even have to be a paying member of Growth Day to access a growth group. You can actually just sign in and you can access this. So it is a phenomenal coaching session. So I just wanted to give you guys another free resource that I think is amazing. I'm almost always at those meetings because they really have been a game changer for my own life as well. So, all right, let's do this. So we're going to think, what is one wish that you have? Let's do it for between now and the end of the year, right? Because this sprint is about wrapping up this year and about starting to think about next year, planning it, right? So what is one wish you have for the rest of this year? It could be, and you can put it in the chat if you want. You don't have to put it in the chat. You can just think about it. But what is one thing that you really want to do? And I'll give you an example of what my wish is most of the time. And my wish, it can be, by the way, your wish can be like a SMART goal type idea if you want. It can have very specific things to it. It can say, I'm going to go to the gym 3 times between now and the end of the year, right? That can be a wish. It can be something very practical. It also can be very much less concrete, right? So mine a lot of times has a lot more language to it, and it'll be, I want to have the most amazing time enrolling and empowering members of the Dark Horse Project, right? So that'll be like my wish for the week. So it can be anything along those lines. So something, so just think about what it is that you really, really want between now and the end of the year. I'll give you guys a couple seconds to do that. If you want to put in the chat, go right ahead. If not, totally cool. All right, tell me and let me know when you guys are ready just to move on to the next piece. So we're really just going to think, what is that wish? What is the thing? What is the outcome? If you want to talk Tony Robbins language, what is the outcome that you're going for? What is that wish that you really want to have happen? Is it like, I want to have a phenomenal time with my family over the holidays? Is it a health fitness goal that you have that you want to do? Is it a state of mind that you want to be in for the next 3 weeks or the next couple weeks? 2 weeks? I guess there's 2 weeks left in the year. Wowza, I don't know how that happened. So yeah, so let me know when you guys have those down. And we will, let me see, and then I'll go to the next piece. Awesome. All right. All right, how you guys doing? You guys ready for, ready? One more second. We'll give it another second. Hi, Miss Lon, I see you coming on there. I love it. We're just talking about the WOOP framework. I know you've heard me talk about it a couple times. So we're just going after, we're deciding what the wish is that we want for the rest of this year. So what is it that you really want to make happen or you really want to experience? What is that wish? Awesome. We ready? Awesome. We got one. All right. We've got Jean. I'll read Jean's just so we have a good example. Stay in my highest vibration to support my best mental and physical self with nourishing my physical body and mind and nourishing and nutritionally dense food that feeds my physical body and good, knowledgeable, high intentional information for my mind. I love it. That's beautiful, right? I love it. That's awesome. Great language. And the more language you can really get going, the better, right? Like, I think that's awesome. All right, so let's do the next piece. So the outcome. How does that feel? What does it really feel like when you achieve this goal, vision, or dream over the next 3 weeks? What does it feel like? How is that? Are you empowered? Do you have a lot more energy? Are you happy? Are you feeling connected? What does it look like? Paint that picture as though it's just this beautiful thing. Amazing things have come together. You're feeling great. You're really loving it. Let me know how you feel when this happens. I know that Gabriella will talk about like really making it fantastical, right? Really going out there, letting yourself stretch into that feeling of getting it really in your system, really like enjoy it, get it in your body, because even it is super helpful. It helps you get the energy, because we're about to couple this with the obstacle that you have. So really think about what that piece of the puzzle is. All right. I love it. I love it. All right. So give you guys a few more seconds on that. I love that energy. I love Lana's. Lana's talking about how the energy is like bubbles in her chest and smiling. Great language, right? Like you're really getting into like what it feels like, how it is. Who are you in that state, right? Who are you when that happens, when you achieve that goal, vision, or dream, when that thing happens? How are you? Yeah, right. We're feeling empowered and in control. Awesome. I love it. I love it. All right, you guys ready? We're gonna move on to the next piece. So this is where we really couple it and where the power actually lies. So the obstacle. And they'll talk about what is it within you? Really, what is it within you? Is it distractions? Is it deeper than distractions? What is it when you think of like that thing happening and you want to be able to have this thing? What might show up? Is it those amazing holiday parties that might mess up your diet? Is it stress from the holidays that might mess up your diet? Is it for myself, when we would talk about, just so you know, when we would talk about the outcomes, for me, it would be very empowered, living into my best life, right? But when I'm talking about the obstacles, for me, it's normally, am I allowing negative thoughts to have bandwidth? And letting distractions or other people's dramas take away from my focus, right? Those are the things that really will stop me. A lot of times in the very beginning when I started doing WOOP, it was feeling overwhelmed, right? I was like, I've got this big plan. And when I first started doing this, I was just trying to put together the business plan for the project. And I was struggling so hard. And it was like, I would sit down to write and I'd have all these great ideas and I'd sit down to write and I'd be like, whoa, this feeling of overwhelm would just wash over me and I would just freeze. And it was a struggle, right? I was like, oh, and then I would beat myself up because I couldn't actually get the things finished that I wanted to get finished because I was stuck in my mind. So it was like, as soon as I did this framework, it really helped me go like, oh, all right. So it's really my internal, I don't feel like I'm worthy. Like, can I really do this? Is it possible for me to actually do this big goal, vision, and dream that feels so amazing? Like, that's the question in my mind that was making me stop, right? So really looking at like, what is that obstacle within you? What's that feeling that comes up that you're like, ah, right? Because if we didn't have that feeling somewhere, we'd already be there. So I think that's also important, right? We all have it as part of the human condition. As we're stretching, there's always going to be something, right? So it's like, what is the thing that's holding you there and not allowing you to have that big goal, vision, or dream? Or what is it that might interrupt it, right? Maybe all the things are great and you want to celebrate with your family and have a great time, and you got to deal with the family, and you have that one relative that might be tough to deal with during the holidays, right? That feeling, right? You can't control that person. So that's outside the locus of control, but you can control your reaction, right? So is it, I have trouble dealing with my relative, or I've struggled in the past with dealing with my, what is it that triggered you? So you got to think, what is it within you, and really get that obstacle that's going on. Right? So like Cheryl has one where doesn't feel like doing it. She feels like putting things off, right? Doesn't have the motivation to like, it's like, why? It's just, it doesn't feel good, right? All right. So now that we've done that, now your brain will, the next time you come up upon this obstacle, your brain is going to go, hey, that's the thing. That's the thing that's stopping me from getting what I want. Interesting. And you will actually start to see a shift in your own relationship with the obstacle. At least for myself, I've seen massive shift in it. It's very empowering. So the last piece of this, we're going to do the plan. The plan is when then based, right? Or if then based. So like I said, you've got it can be offensive. So basically you're going to, if you're struggling in food and you are like struggling with sticking to your diet, so a preemptive offensive way of doing this is going to say, when I go to the grocery store, then I will only get healthy food, right? So you're putting something in advance that's going to set you up. Now, one thing about this, they talk about how, people say like, I'm not very disciplined, or I just don't have very good follow through, or I'm not able to get that done. The reality when that happens is they don't have a good enough plan. They might have been like, okay, I want to get healthy. And you're like, okay, how are you going to do that? And I don't know, I'm going to go to the gym and do these things. But they didn't actually have I'm going to go to the gym Monday morning at 7 a.m. plan, right? Like they didn't have enough in there to actually make that happen. So a lot of times people that have very high ability to, like very high self-control, it's not necessarily that they have higher self-control, it's that they preempted their situation. They set themselves up for success by planning in advance and not having the naughty food in the house where they might actually eat it, right? So it makes it so that they're not like withstanding that pressure. They set it up so that pressure doesn't exist, right? So I think that that's when we're talking about when then items. Now, the other way to do this is if then. So for me, and if then is a little bit more defensive, it could be. So basically it's like, if this problem arises, then I will do this, right? So for me, I normally write my plan will be something like this. When I sit down to work, then I will remind myself of my why, set my intention, and take the next best action. If I feel distracted, or if I have a negative thought, then I will let the thought pass and I will take the next best action, right? So there's a couple of different ways to go about that. So whenever you're trying to really make something happen, if you tell your brain these pieces, it literally makes it an instant habit. And this is where the power lies. This has actually been proven to make you 200 to 300% more likely to take action, right? This is the top neuroscience that out there as to how to actually make achievement happen. So it's really, we're taking that outcome, that wish, that outcome, what's the obstacle within me, coupling it together, and then we're going to lay out a plan. And you can have a couple plans for it, right? Say it's something and you've got a couple plans that help you on that. But really being able to institute this has been a game changer for me. So I'm glad that I got to share that with you guys. Let me see if you guys have any when-thens in here. Yeah, see, so Lana, so you're saying you need more plans because most of the time there's so many things and distractions, right? So it's when I organize my day, then I will limit my distractions, or then I will focus on the 1 or 2 things I'm going to do this day, right? So when then plans can really help you get out of those distractions and really help your brain. You'll see yourself going, like, say you have something on distractions, and maybe you're on social media and you're scrolling, and all of a sudden your brain can be like, by the way, you're doing that thing that we talked about in the WOOP, and all of a sudden you'll be like, actually I can put this down. Next, I'm going to move on, right? So it's very interesting how it actually programs your brain the other way. So, all right, awesome. I love it. All right, so to wrap this challenge, right? I'm super stoked you guys are here. I'm super stoked that you guys have heard the framework, and I hope that you guys will utilize the framework as you keep going after your big goal, vision, or dream. You guys are all members of the Dark Horse Network with pro memberships, so make sure you take advantage of all of the pieces of that. I'm super excited to see you guys engage on the platform. Make sure that any companies that you guys have, products, services that you guys want to have promoted, that we get those on there. If you have questions about that, I'm happy to help you get set up and organized and make sure that your content is on the platform so that you're getting some time and promotion throughout that. I also want to make sure you guys are aware that because you took this challenge, you have a free ticket to the Empowering Visions Kickstart 2024 workshop, where we're going to workshop through the framework. So a little bit like we did here with the WOOP plan, but we're actually going to have, it'll be about 2 hours a day for 2 days there. And we're going to really go through your vision, making sure you have clarity of the vision and how to get you jump started for next year. And we're going to do that the 19th and 20th of January. That way we're a little bit beyond the very beginning of the year, so you can get started and get going, but this will really help you tap in when we're past like the frenzy of the new year, right? It'll help us really get set up for actually a sprint that's coming up there as well. So that you have both those things available to you for free. They're definitely pieces of the puzzle that I hope that you will engage in. And then the other pieces of that are, I have a couple bonuses for anybody that's been part of the sprint, I mean, a part of the challenge. And those bonuses are available until 12 p.m. Eastern, like midnight on Monday. So it's basically 72 hours, a little more than 72 hours out from here. And those are, I will send you guys a link in the email. I will actually put the link in here as well. Let me give you that. These are, so this will be, there's a link to the workshop bonuses. And basically, one of them is if you are interested in being part of the group sprint that'll start on January 29th. We just wrapping up this week. We wrapped up a 10-week sprint with, I think we had 7 people in the group, and it was super awesome. So much progress, so much learning. A lot of more deeper on the content that I've shared in this, and really like helping each other along the way with some check-ins and some weekly, those are weekly. I go live on Mondays at 5:30 p.m. Eastern for the 10 weeks. So that 10-week sprint is actually, if you're part of this challenge, I'm giving it to anybody at $97. And that is the price that the first group paid. It is going to increase this, this second sprint that I'm doing, so you guys get in on that pricing. There will be a link in that you guys can access that. Secondly, if anybody really wants any private coaching from me, I have opened up a few slots, literally only a few slots. That is, I'll take $1,000 off a sprint if somebody wants to do that and get signed up. There will also be a link to that. That can also go towards a year, like a year setup for that as well, rather than just a sprint. So those pieces of the puzzle are available. And then if there is anybody that wants to be either a supporting member of the Dark Horse Project, which I talked about yesterday, or so the supporting members, the benefit from being on this call is you can also get the replay of the sprint that I have done this past 10 weeks. And you'll get that. It's getting actually in post right now to be a course. So you'll get that for free if you sign up as a supporting member. And that will also include monthly group coaching sessions that start actually January 23rd, I believe it is. And we'll go monthly with a pretty good group of people that have been through the sprint and done all that. So you guys are welcome to that. Don't forget also, supporting members get free VIP upgrades to all events for the Dark Horse Project. That is a lifetime. And so that means that anytime that we're having those events, you guys get in on them. So whether they're virtual or in person, you guys get free upgrades for that. That's lifetime. And then the DHP group, I know yesterday I mentioned, I think I said in the video that they were weekly networking. No, they're monthly networking group, like meetups that we'll have with the DHP group. And I forgot to mention also the DHP group has 2 workshops a year, and they're skill building workshops. We're going to bring in somebody else with skills to help you with your entrepreneuring, with whether it's your online business and your marketing, and basically really whatever it is that the majority of people are really looking for in that group. So we can really support the DHP group members. Also, anybody that signs up for that, that is a lifetime. Plus, I will do 3 extra private coaching sessions, 30-minute coaching sessions in the next 90 days if you sign up for that. So those are my big offers. I have the landing page is there. You guys can see all of them. And don't forget that you already have access to the network, which I really hope you'll take advantage of, and you have access to the workshop. And I hope to see you guys there in January so that we can really make a difference on your goal, vision, or dream moving forward. So I'm so grateful that you've been part of this challenge.